This video is specifically for coaches who are dealing with the problem where they have team practices but their schools won't let them get in the weight room. How do you keep your team healthy over the course of a season? How do you keep making progress that you were making in the off season or in preseason? So I have a simple routine. I think it'll work best about 3 days a week. I wouldn't necessarily do it every practice, but you can monitor and see how your team recovers, and you could potentially do it every practice provided you get Saturday, Sunday off, or perhaps Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So before you even get into practice, the very first thing you would do, and depending on the level of someone's knee strength, you can put your hands on the ground to make it easier. What makes this exercise harder, so right here, someone could already start working on their VMOs. It doesn't mean it's only VMO, it's gonna work your whole quads, but the VMO does work hardest in fullest bend or fullest extension when you see us do these reverse step-ups. So fullest extension and fullest bend works the VMO. So right here, someone can start getting a VMO workout. Now if you take your hands off, that's gonna make the workout even harder. And then if you put your hands together and your elbows down and lean back enough that your elbows do not hit your thigh or go between. So right there, now by gravity, I'm actually pushing more of my own weight rather than leaning here. So if you look at my knees and how much weight the actual VMO has to do, this is gonna be more weight. So right here, anyone can get a really good workout, and you could even slow it down. Slower is tougher. And then you'd explode up after the 100th one. And then during practice, my challenge to you is instead of running suicides as punishment, you work on ATG lunges as punishment. Just from one side to the other is actually something that your players will fear because it's really hard, but it'd be really good for them. So let's get a little distance so you can see when I go into the step. If you've been doing proper off-season and preseason training, you've been working on your split squat. I always have basketball teams work on split squat. So what you're gonna do, you'd start at one end of the court and you would take a step, and your goal is to drop into a perfect split squat. So your goal is to keep the heel down, although if it comes up, that's fine, but you'd wanna be working your ankle mobility until it can stay down. Get your hamstring to completely cover the calf without the back knee touching the floor, and without turning the back heel in to avoid stretch. In fact, if the back heel goes out, that's okay, that's even more stretch. So the back knee does not touch the floor, and then without the knee coming back, you explode up, and then you go into the next step. So if we look at this at live speed, I'm trying to drop into a perfect split squat, explode up. Drop into a perfect split squat, explode up. And my back toes, I'm pushing. So with my back toes, I'm thinking to push. Because by pushing, that keeps the weight on the front leg. Whereas if I relax the back toes, that's too easy. So if I let my knee come back as the first motion, that's too easy. If I try to keep driving my knee forward, that keeps the exercise tough. So now I'm pushing with those back toes. Boom. So one end to the other. Now you're working hip flexor mobility, ankle mobility, knee strength, glute strength, in one movement rather than beating your players up with suicide runs. Then immediately when the practice is done, 50 calf raises each leg and 50 tibialis raises. This can be done from anywhere. There's always a step somewhere. In this case, I'll just walk outside to give a real example. Oftentimes in the bleachers, you'll have tons of space. The key is that you go somewhere that if you balance, you use only fists. That doesn't give you a ton of space, but if I walk over here, I'll bet this would be perfect. So right here looks perfect. So here, I can balance with my knuckles. That way I can't assist. Balance with the knuckles, full stretch, full extension. Full stretch, full extension. Someone with crazy strong calves, like the guy holding the camera, Connor Barth, can do 50 of these in a row. I can only get about 20, so I would have to hit failure, rest, keep going. So stay on one leg until you get all 50, then go to the other leg and get 50. So as long as you have enough space, balance with the knuckle, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. It's key that you hold each position. If you bounce out of the bottom, then you're not working the strength there. And if you don't hold the top, you're not working the strength there. So you gotta actually hold it, pause, hold it, pause. And that stretches out your calves, which primes you for the tibialis raise. You might as well come inside. see my ankles from here? So then you just find any wall. It's key that your back is not touching the wall. Have the shoulders off the wall. Walk your legs out as far as you can till you feel an ankle stretch, and then see if you can flex your toes up. If you can, good. Keep repping out, same thing. Pause at the bottom, pause at the top. If you get to where you can't get your toes up, you just back up closer. So if you look at the angle here, the closer I get, the easier it is to get my toes up. The farther I walk out, the harder it is. So over the course of 50 reps, it's gonna be tough, you're gonna burn, you're gonna hit failure, and you're gonna back up, and you're gonna keep going. And then you'll come back next practice with more protection for your knee, for your shin, because this tibialis muscle actually wraps around this way. So when people have shin splints in here, they don't realize that it's still, number one cause is still usually a weak tibialis, especially in jumping sports. So there you go, that's a routine you can do before, during, and after a team practice with zero equipment, and actually have your team compared to the other teams in your area getting more athletic and healthier as the season goes.